4, 3, 2, 1.
Tai sveikinu, 100 milijonų peržiūrų ir manęs pas.
Reikia pakalbėti.
Kas čia vyksta?
Tu buvai režisierius, tu buvai wow! O dabar tu kažkokia namų šeimininkė, kurią aš turiu išlaikyti ir kuriai turiu mokėti dienpinigius.
Like from the very beginning, I was thinking that it should be more like observational. This space helps you to judge them, and at the same time, it says a lot about who you are, I think. And I'm just so curious how people will react. There is no wave, Lithuanian new wave, because everybody are quite different, I think, and you know, if to be honest, there is other directors who I think had an impact on me and then on others. There's like Ignas Miškinis, I don't know if you heard about him, and then my course mate Dovilė Šarutytė, also she like in a film school, she made a very, you know, like realistic film about coming of age story, and it was, I think that, you know, yeah, maybe our like how to say, the class of directors from which I am, we started something different. It's true. But I think that other generation, they had much more success, so I think they should take all credits. Yeah, like Laurynas Bareiša, Marija Kavtaradzė, Vytautas Katkus, now and then Saulė Bliuvaitė later. So I gave all credits to them. Yeah. You know, of course, there is something I put from my personal experience, and the biggest thing is two main things are that I also like to spend time in my apartment, which is like maybe 3 times smaller than that apartment the character lives in the film, and also I had this crisis, let's say, of creative crisis writing, because after Runner I had the second film of mine. For a year and a half I wasn't able to do nothing. I wrote like 2 treatments and then I throw them away, and so yeah, the thing is that it was quite challenging, so I relate in this point, and you know, and there's also many things I'm scared of, if to be honest, which I put into this. I always scared that, you know, I won't earn money, that I you know, I won't have money, and then what I will do, where I will live, and yeah. So, but you know, I relate, I think, even more to Maria or to Dovilė, daughter. What they're experiencing, and they go through a bit harder, I think. Well, not harder, but you know, Maria goes through personal hell, in my opinion, and you know, she, you know, understanding that all your values and what you are thinking about yourself is just collapsing. That you're not the one you were thinking about yourself, that you're basically performing, you know, your life in a way. You're performing support, you're performing, I don't know, even love maybe. It's a hell, you know, I think. And Dovilė, again, the way she's comprehending everything what's happening, and it's also somehow I can relate to her, because she sees many different things and she's observing everything and like keeping to herself. And yeah, I think somehow I really understand her, you know. For me, the main subject of this film is it's this conformism and this performance, you know, performative, you know, life basically, and so this is the most important subjects, and of course there are other topics, but they are like not. I didn't have intention to go very deep into that. I wanted to create this time capsule of we're living in now, and for future generations. In a way, it sounds maybe pretentious, but it's real. So yeah, it was a very important topic because it's related exactly as you said, and with this conformism topic and performance in a way. So I was just I was noticing many things, many stuff like that in the society in Lithuania. Of course, like the majority of people were genuine, but when I started to see like posters of companies and they were writing "We support Ukraine" and then the company name, it was a bit strange. And then there were other people who were creating their own brands in a way because of the war, and I just wanted somehow to show it and. That hypocrisy, and I think it's also from there this pain of those characters and the hell they are going through, coming from, because they imagining that they are somebody else, and then everything just falls little by little, especially in Maria's case, because Vitas he's like a director, a funny character, of course, and at the same time, he doesn't have friends, and the main goal for him, like he creates art, something like very spiritual in a way, but the main goal for him is to go back to his apartment. It's of course it's very normal that not everything is noticed, but when during this dinner scene, the long dinner scene they're having, he says to Maria that why you're leaving this job, it's nonsense, it's not your fault, and like it's crazy, it's a bit again hypocritical because why he's doing that. It's because he doesn't want her to lose the income. It's this thing, and because I really believe that he has this strategy to come back to his home to be again like irrelevant, and he noticed that from taking part in those protests that he will be viewed differently, and it's true. She started to view him differently again. He's in the media, he's giving interviews, he's important, and I think that he's very hypocritical, very, yeah. Because there was no need to make cuts. I think, when we were searching for the style, like from the very beginning, I was thinking that it should be more like observational, because I wanted to create a space between characters in a way and the audience, this space, I think it helps to have your own thoughts, your ideas about the characters, because again, from experiencing already, reactions from people, and some people hate those characters, some people empathize with them, and I think the space helps, because if you would like totally be with the character, like in my previous film, let's say, again, it creates, you are just going with them, and you're, I didn't want to create some kind of a story where you just empathizing with them. Yeah. This space helps you to judge them, and at the same time it says a lot about who you are, I think, because if you, think that, for example, what Vitas is doing is wrong, I think it says something about you. If you think that, let's say, Vita's parents have some common sense, I think it says something about you. And I think that, there is no judgment in the film. I really believe that there is no judgment. There's just the stories, some, scenes from life, and then it's up to the audience to decide. Yeah, but because of the characters, because I show them, somehow how. Exactly, because I don't think that in life everything is black and white. I'm just like, and so I'm just showing this scenes, observe them in a different way and how they react to different things. And sometimes they acting really nice. Sometimes they act wrong, or strangely somehow, and it depends on you, So on the audience, on the viewer, to decide what about them, because I think like I am also not perfect. Everybody, you probably also not. We are all like, we have many colors, and of course it's very, of course, yeah. And but again, very often in films we can see that still there are like bad, good, and even in art house films, which is a bit disappointing when we see that in art house films. Yeah. So this is the thing. I really wanted to to create this kind of just to to empathize with them, exactly, not to make a caricature, If to be honest, it was a bit. I was thinking about how people will react to that, but again, then I had the opportunity to read the script of Renovation before, so I was a bit, because we actually received funding at the same year in Lithuania, but we had to shoot a year later because of co-productions and stuff. So yeah, and everything's fine. Yeah. So I wanted to. So yeah. So with Žygimantė we talked about it, of course, and we decided that it's different characters. It's very different story, very different topic, and but again, yeah, there is this character, female character, who spends lots of time in an apartment, just different. So there is that similarity. Yeah. So yeah, but I wasn't like scared. Plus, I was working with Žygimantė before. Her first film was in Runner, my previous film, and I just like her as an actress, and I just had to work with her again. This film was extremely, the whole experience is very intense and very fast, because we start prep in a very beginning of 2025, and we went immediately to the shooting, of course, after prep. But then after shooting, we had like 3 or 4 days of rest, and that's it. And we went straight to editing, and then from editing straight to sound, and it was so intense. And then when we just finished sound, at the same day we got invitation from Sundance, because it was the first festival. We sent the film and we were picked. It was overwhelming, of course. I'm not spoiled with festivals like this, so it was then again preparation, and then I had other works, and then the festival started, and I really wanted, with this film especially, I wanted to meet audience, because I really wanted to see reactions, because somehow with other films, to be honest, I was more about just traveling, and in this case, because of the topics I just wanted, to see and hear how people are reacting in Hong Kong, in America, in western part of the Europe, and in Central Europe. So I'm really looking forward to Polish trip, and Estonia, Lithuania especially will have a release in autumn. So it's because it's very different, and I'm just so curious how people will react, because I just really want people to know how we are as a country, what we are going through. So it's very important to me, and I think that many countries don't understand that.